Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TripleJump podcast. It's a video game podcast. My name is Ben.
My name is Peter.
And my name is Ashton.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
How are we all feeling today?
Good.
Fine, thanks.
A bit of a tummy ache because I drank some gin last night. And
You've got gin tummy.
I got gin tummy.
Something I've just learned about before we get recorded.
So-
Yeah, you used to drink a lot of gin.
I do drink
Right.
a lot of gin, yeah.
You still do drink a lot
Well, yeah,
of gin.
but it always gives me a funny tummy in the morning.
Okay.
And so I was like, last night we went for a few beverages for Kieran's birthday. And
Happy
I thought,
birthday, Kieran.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Kieran.
Kieran.
I thought, I'm not going to drink gin. I'm going to have something else. So I was having like hard seltzers instead, which also meant to be less calories. I just don't know why I picked them. They were on offer. And then I was
Seltzers are
like,
gross.
I woke up this morning and I was like, why do I have such a funny tummy? Like, what is going on? I thought maybe it was the KFC I ate last night. No. It was, in fact, the cocktails that we drank while we were out that had gin in them, but I just didn't think about that. So I was like, oh, good. So I got a bit of a tummy because I had gin.
Oh,
You
dear.
also stole a pencil
I stole a pencil,
from
yeah.
the golf.
We did
place
some
we went to.
mini golf last
Yeah.
night, junkyard golf.
Ben won.
I did win, which never
lost.
normally happens.
It was a bit
I
of a-
never win mini
You started
golf.
off pretty
Yeah.
poor.
Oh, I did horribly.
As often tends to be the case with games like that, like it's always a bit of a roller coaster. Like I started out reasonably well.
Yeah, me too.
Then I had like a terrible middle. I was far in last place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a hole in one and managed to come in third place.
The
So,
only hole in one of the night as
Yeah.
well.
on the
Impressive
ramp
stuff.
one where you have to go.
On the ramp one, guys.
I
Was
started
on the ramp one.
pretty well.
Yeah.
And then I ended very poorly and was on like at least fives for a couple of them. So I lost. But I only got 36.
It's
it was
always
only
all
9
to
holes.
play for
to be
in,
fair.
in very basic casual mini golf.
Yeah.
It's
But we had
good.
a wonderful time.
We did.
We did.
It's a good place to do mini golf. And then we went to Weatherspoons,
Yeah.
which was weirdly dead on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Strange that in the basically
Dead
the,
gate.
the ghost town that is the Gate in Newcastle because all the businesses keep leaving. So it's just Weatherspoons really. The cinema on the top floor is closing down as well. So there's going to be nothing apart from Pizza Hut, which is I think the only
There's a
like a big-
Nando's in there.
Is there?
Upstairs. And an
that
escape room.
place where you buy clothes by the kilogram.
Yeah.
that used to be Zaza Bazaar, which I'm
Yeah.
not sad about at all. Then we went to You Me World,
and I've got
which
my-
is an arcade.
Yeah.
My card. This is a rechargeable card. Please keep this card for
Please keep
future
this
use.
card for future use. It's a cashless venue in that you put credits on a card. You like top it up with a $5 or whatever. But the machines aren't, £1 a go. They are 2.4 credits per go, and you
Which
don't
isn't,
know
like,
really what the
money.
credits mean.
No.
It's very sort of early Xbox Live Arcade thing where they make you top up by a certain amount of credits, but then there's nothing that you can buy that equates.
Exactly. To,
So you always end up with credits left over that you paid for that you can't use.
And then you
Except I somehow managed
Peter
to.
did it.
I'm the only person who got down to zero. I don't even know how much was on my card, and then we were on our way out. We'd already all had a few goes on the claw machine. And I was like, I think I've got some money left, and I just went on the way out like bleep, and it went
Bleep.
current balance 0. I was like, hell yeah! And then of course the claw went.
You wanted to win a Sonic. Oh, let me caress the Sonic.
Yeah.
I tried to
Yeah.
win a Minion. Didn't
And
work.
then you win a minion.
Didn't work.
I did one game and then didn't have enough credits for anything else.
What game was it?
Well, I did one thing table football with James Jenkins.
Yes.
And then I went round and I tried like one of the smacky machines.
Oh,
Yes.
For some reason, I didn't know why. I just was like, "Oh, this beeps on things," and just started scanning it on it.
Right.
And then I ran out of credits.
Did you accidentally pay for our air hockey? Do you
No,
think?
because there wasn't a thing down my side.
Oh, okay.
Me and Peter played air hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I won that.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, and then me, James, you, and Alex played
Yeah.
air hockey later on. Me and Alex won that.
Yeah, I
as well.
lost that one. That was sad. And
I
it was
won the
violent
football
though.
with James. We
You
beat
did,
you and Kieran.
Yeah. That table football was weird.
Yeah, it was kind
It
of
was like
strange.
instead of having like rows, you had like I don't know how you meant to play it on your own because there was just too many things. But you like pulled characters like
the
up and
players
down.
went up and down the track.
And
the
you have to, like,
track.
The
the
track,
football
yes.
track.
And obviously you span it, and then the goalkeeper you had to like spin the knob rather than like pulling it right on. That was weird. I don't know why it was
It
like
did look
that.
a bit strange.
Yeah.
I only managed to get 2 games out of my £5.
Yeah.
I caressed a minion on the claw machine, didn't win it, and then I paid for Kieran and I to have a go on the House of the Dead game they had there, which was I think one of the most expensive games they had there. Kieran died quite fast, and then I sort of struggled on for a little bit on my own, and then died as well. And then when I was trying to scan it, like let's have another go. Like, no. it costs 3 point something credits, and you can't afford it. You can't even get 3 goes out of a $5 on House of the Dead.
Unless they misheard me and put more than a $5 on my thing, I managed to get 3 claw machines, an air hockey, and a Daytona USA.
That's shocking to me. I
Which
couldn't
is
believe how it
Seems
kept being
incorrect.
accepted.
Yeah.
They definitely put a tenner on.
Yeah, maybe they did. I've not even checked my bank balance. They probably put a tenner on. You have a $5's worth, but yeah, £500.
We'll put an
Okay.
extra 50's worth of credits on there
Yeah,
for you.
thanks.
£10. Well, we had a wonderful time, and happy birthday again, Kieran.
Happy birthday, Kieran.
Hope you had a good time
Kieran.
too. We are brought to you each and every week by a very real video game adjacent sponsor here on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got the ad read in front of me now. Bearing in mind, it is Gamescom week
Yeah.
as we record this. An exciting time. This week's sponsor is Hideo Kojima's podcast featuring his best friend in the whole wide world from now until the end of time, Jeff Keighley.
Is that the name of the podcast?
That's the name of the podcast.
Is that
yeah.
separate to his recently announced weird podcast?
Yes, this is a new one. He's
Right.
doing on top of the one that was announced at Opening Night Live, which I think we can all agree was one of the biggest announcements of the week.
Yeah.
Was what's it called? It's like Mind Sessions.
Brain.
Brain Talk.
Brain
or
Squoogles.
something,
It's
yeah.
Brain Squoogle, yeah.
Something like that.
Brain time.
So yeah, this is another one he's doing called Hideo Kojima's podcast featuring his best friend in the whole wide world from now until the end of time, Jeff Keighley.
What do they do on their podcast?
It's the first
talk about
Strand
what-
podcast. I said that actually when we were watching Gamescom. It's the first Strand
first
podcast.
Strand podcast.
I'm going to keep saying it until everyone laughs.
I don't understand the joke.
um,
Oh, like
Death Stranding, when that
right,
came
Death
out,
Stranding, I see.
Hideo Kojima said this is the first of a brand new genre called Strand games.
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is
That
kind
makes
of
sense. Because you
strange.
kept saying it and I was like laughing along and being like, I don't understand the joke.
I'll Google that later.
I don't understand it.
I don't know what a Strand game is by his definition. Do you know what it's supposed to be?
Until we
Well, he's
get
only
another
made that
Strand, we won't
It
know.
has to have dead whales in
Was
it.
he like trying to
Yes.
make it like Souls like? They'll be like, he's like, this will be a
a Strand
genre.
game,
This is
possibly,
everyone will be like, this
yeah.
is a Strand
All
game.
of these
but everyone will just
shovelware
be like,
Strand games on
it's just a
Steam.
walking sim.
Yeah.
Sorry, is that real?
Well,
podcast?
I mean, the podcast is real. The one that he's doing is real, and Jeff Keighley's going to be
Brain
on it.
Squoogle.
That was
Yeah.
the announcement. Yeah, Hideo Kojima's Brain Squoogle. But unfortunately, Hideo Kojima's podcast featuring his best friend in the whole wide world from now until the end of time, Jeff Keighley, is not real.
Aw.
Although there will be an episode that I assume will be titled that in the Hideo Kojima's Brain Squoogle.
Probably.
Yeah.
Which is real.
Definitely.
No, we are not sponsored by that. HKPFHBFITWWFNUTEOTGK.
God, that seemed like way more.
It did seem like a
Didn't
lot
that
more
feel
than-
like it wouldn't end? We're sponsored by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/Team TripleJump, where for as little as $1 per month, you could support this podcast. You can also ask questions on it. There's loads of other tiers and rewards available. Please go and check it out if you can. Peter, is there a question?
Brian Cahill is one of those people who's asked a question on this podcast.
Yes.
And Brian says, "Hello to whomever does not currently have the plops.
Hey, all three of us.
It's been a bit sporadic recently. I'm currently on my first playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn. I
Nice.
know, late to the party and all that. And I found myself burned out pretty early on in the main quest. I got hooked immediately on hunting the wild machines that I may have overdone it, and now I'm not too sure if I'll be able to stick with the game long enough to finish the main story. Have you ever been turned off a game by your own doing? All the best."
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks,
Thank you, Brian. I talk about this game occasionally, and I'm well aware that it's not like necessarily a huge like important game even within its own series, but I personally really enjoyed Far Cry Primal because of the setting. I thought it was relatively unique. I know since then there've been a few quote unquote caveman games, but I think at the time it was fairly unique in having that setting. And I really liked that. But I also got burned out by almost doing exactly the same thing, which was you could go hunting for like special animals, like, you know, the white saber-toothed tiger or the black mammoth or whatever. And all kinds of other things as well. It's a Far Cry game. There were loads of camps to liberate and things to do. Probably mushrooms to collect. I can't remember anymore, but I was enjoying the main story, And then once the game sort of opened up and allowed me to go off and do stuff, I did then kind of just make myself a bit sick of the whole thing, or just tired of the whole thing, really. So, I struggled, though, to think of much more for this question. I feel like it probably happens, from time to time, but I can't really come up with any. So I'll keep thinking. I'll pass it over to Ashton Matthews of TripleJump.
Thanks, Peter
Ashton
Austin
Matthews,
of
are you standing
TripleJump.
by?
Standing by, Ben Potter of TripleJump. Welcome. Hello, Eurovision. So
Coming to Newcastle.
Maybe. Fingers crossed. I had like the kind of opposite in terms of like I've played the main quest and then I don't really have the brain space to go back and do all of the other side stuff. When the first time I played Horizon, I did a bunch of the side quests and stuff, but there was loads and loads of like content that I just didn't do, like any of the hunting grounds, a couple of like the trial-y kind of things, and a couple of the side quests I just missed, because you can do that in Horizon. You can just not go to an area and just completely miss a side quest. But yeah, I did that with Horizon. I finished the main quest, finished a bunch of side quests, and then I was like, I don't really want to go back and do all this other stuff because I've finished the game now. Like, I don't feel like I have to do that because logically, like, why would I go back and do that now? I've already saved the world. But I went back the second time playing it and I did everything before I finished the main quest, and I was much more inclined to do everything before I did that final mission. Always that moment where it's like, you will not be able to go back after you go to this mission. I either have to make the conscious decision to like backtrack on myself and just go and do everything that I've missed, or I just finish the main storyline. But I know that if I do that, then I will not finish everything else. I did that also with Far Cry 6 when I was playing it. I did so much of the stuff, and I was at the point where I was like not able to level up anymore. I'd unlocked so much of the stuff, and I was like, I could just keep like driving around and finding stuff and doing all of these other bits and bobs, or I could just go and finish the main quest and then be finished with the game, which is what I did. And the second the credits rolled, I was like, well, I'm uninterested now. I don't care about this game anymore. It's left my brain. And I do that quite a lot. Same with Stray recently. I finished it once and I've been really struggling to tell myself to go back and like get all the trophies and do it all again and like find all the memories and stuff. But that's partially because I think I had to play it 3 times from the beginning. Once for a Quipscope, once for a stream, and once on my playthrough. And now I'm like, I don't want to have to go back and do it again right now. So I've kind of burnt myself out on it a little bit. Which I also have done with a couple of games that we've reviewed and like started and had to restart again. Like Tiny Tina's, I think I played through the beginning of that game like 4 times. Once for a Quipscope, and then again the next day for the Quipscope because the footage wasn't working, so I had to play it again. And then I played it through with my boyfriend, and then I think I played it through again another time
On stream
potentially. So I played it a lot, and I was like, I need a break from this game. I need to take a minute because my God, I've played it so much. So yeah, I think I do get burnt out sometimes, but it's normally like you said, my fault. So Ben?
So I've burned out on games that I have left for too long and then tried to come back to and not really understood what the hell I was doing. And that's kind of my main experience with this. It's very uncommon that I will start a game and burn out on it the way Brian has by distracting myself with all of the side stuff in the open world and then actually just can't be asked with the main story. Normally, because there are games sometimes where I will just start it and then immediately collect everything and do all the side stuff, like Spider-Man. I did that with Spider-Man. But that was just I felt that was in service of the main story and wanting to finish the main story rather than, hey, this is currently more compelling to me than the main story. The entire time I'm doing side stuff, I'm always thinking, I can't wait to do the next story mission. But the reason I'm doing that side stuff is because I enjoyed the game world so much that I want to do it. It's very rare that I will do that to the extent that I then cannot be asked to play the game anymore. However, in discussing it just now, I have thought of one, and that is Skyrim, because
I was going to say, I was expecting you to say Skyrim.
Well, I did. Sometimes I really struggle to think of answers for these questions.
I do.
Like my gaming memories just sort of vanish.
Do you
from my
sometimes forget
brain.
every game you've ever played?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
have
always
to-
give like the same maybe 8 games to answer all of these questions because they're the ones that just come to mind, even though I know
I always
there are
go
so
through
many
my
others.
PlayStation app, and I'm like
Yeah.
looking at all the games that I have played on my PlayStation app, and I'm like, what games have I ever played in my life? Let me have a look.
I have to open my Steam library sometimes.
Yeah,
and
me
just
too.
look through
When
it.
I try to come up with sponsors, I will just look around my desk for inspiration. I just look at the launch games that I've got stacked next to me,
Yeah.
the various toys that are lining the windowsill. Like, one of these will give me an idea,
Yeah.
even though I look at them every time. But no, Skyrim for sure, because while I loved that game while I was playing it, I massively overindulged and got completely oversaturated by the world and finished the main story. I think that was maybe the last thing I did was the main quest line. And the main quest line of Elder Scrolls games are never really that good.
No.
They're always, I find, one of the weakest parts of what is otherwise a very, very strong experience. So I think I left those pretty much till last in Skyrim. And so by the time I finished that, got the relevant trophies for it, I was just so done because I played so many hours in such a short space of time, and I still can't play it to this day, which is sad.
I'm more in like a middle ground camp with that in that I didn't put myself off Skyrim by doing side stuff, but I did that much side stuff that I've still never finished the main quest of Skyrim. I just never bothered doing. I finished Oblivion. But
I don't think I've finished Oblivion.
Right.
Still can't do it.
but so I still enjoy Skyrim playing it now. It's just that I've no interest in the main quest, but that's not because I made myself sick of it. It's because I would just rather boot up Skyrim and explore the world, or I'd rather boot up a Fallout game or whatever, or Oblivion, and just explore rather than play the main quest. But that's just because, like you say, they're never that strong. So, yeah.
Well, that's my answer. It's time to talk about something else.
It's a thing we tried out last week, but you weren't here.
Oh.
When you were off sick. I think it worked, so we might do it again this week. It's called
Okay.
What We Playin.
It's What We Play in time. Time to talk about what video games we've been playing. Peter Austin, what have you been playing?
Well, if you count the arcade, I've been all over this week by my standards, but I haven't really. So apart from Daytona, USA,
Daytona, let's go.
and some physical arcade games, including Claw Machine, air hockey, and physical football thing with weird men who run up and down the track.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've also played a bit of Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed,
Excellent.
which turned out less bad than I expected. Well, that implies that it is still bad. It's not. It's not a bad game. It's just it doesn't interest me that much. I think I used the phrase in the Quip Skip actually that it's a bit of a living fossil. You can remake or remaster games like that to your heart's content, but unless you are seriously messing around with the actual core gameplay design, you're still going to suffer from the fact that you're releasing a game that's got like mid-noughties style stuff in it. You know, the missions are all quite samey, or it's all a bit reductive, really. It's like, go here, kill this many people, find these collectibles or whatever. So unfortunately the actual game design isn't great, but they've done an okay job, I think, with what they have been given, and it's fun enough to play with the toys that it gives you. It's that sort of thing. So it was all right. We've got a proper Quipscope on it. You can go and watch that if you like. Also, I've been playing Pac-Man World Repack.
Not repacked.
No, Repack.
Okay,
Oh.
repack.
Strange. Yeah.
Right.
This was a PS1 third-person, like 3D platformer. Kind of I guess you could call it a mascot platformer because it's Pac-Man, who is a mascot. And that game has passed a lot of people by. Most of the people in the office who I've told about this game are like, I've never heard of that. What are you talking about?
No, I hadn't. Until you mentioned it, I had no idea that it was even a thing.
So I expect...
Oh,
TV just restarted.
Yeah.
So I expected the chat to be in a similar position. I thought everyone would go, I don't know what this is. But actually, it seemed like a fair few people on stream had heard of it. So
Some other living fossils.
yeah, I don't know. So, bit of a mixture of whether people have heard of this or not. But I think that's actually a really nice game. I enjoyed it back in the day, and I've been playing it at home. I've been playing it in the office, and I've been playing it live on Twitch. And I think it does a pretty good job of being a old game remade in modern day. In fact, I don't know if it's, I think it is remade from the ground up. They've used the same music. They've not re-recorded that, I can tell, but I think it's like physically been rebuilt. But that's a lot of fun too. There should be a Quip Scope out by now because we're going to record one straight after the podcast. But that's like, it's got a good level of challenge, but it's still kind of quite happy and laid back, and it could be a good palate cleanser for people who are into that. If you're not into your platformers, you might struggle with it, but I've had a good time with that, so looking forward to playing some more.
It's out now, right?
Yeah, it's out now.
Out now.
Today at time of recording.
That's nice. I have been playing some games this week instead of packing my flat.
Cool.
I have played, I finished the Final Fantasy VII Yuffie DLC the other day. Really enjoyed it, but
Bit of an abrupt
it's
ending.
weird at the end, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of an abrupt. I was expecting it to go on for a little longer. Not that I was mad that it didn't, because I'd just finished Final Fantasy VII Remake that I'd been playing for several weeks. So it was kind of a blessing that it was sort of on the short side. But it did just sort of end.
Yeah.
I wasn't really, I was a bit sort of taken aback by that.
And also, like, I did not understand what was going on. Like, it took a real, like, came out of left field at the end there. Something that had literally not been talked about the entire Final Fantasy VII game in itself. Or during the DLC, suddenly something else is happening and these other people are here. And I'm like, who are you? What's going on?
Final Fantasy VII has a complicated enough story as it is.
Yeah.
But then with all the extracurricular Final Fantasy VII stuff, the spin-off games and the movies and the Advent Children's and stuff like that, that is where the game, despite it being my favorite game ever, that's where that, I suppose, the Final Fantasy VII franchise loses me. Because outside of the core game, it's a tough sell for me. It just goes a bit too weird. It's a weird enough game anyway in places, but it just goes a bit too far out there for me to really understand. It goes a bit Kingdom Hearts almost, like a bit strange. And it seems like they are introducing some elements of that in the next part. And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
So we will see.
What MB was saying when I asked him about it, because I was like, I don't know what's going on, I'll ask Ben. And he was like, yeah, they're from a different game that I haven't played. So I also didn't know what they were from. I don't really understand it either. I Googled it and I'm still confused. And I was like, okay, well, I've done it now. So
You did it.
Good for me, I guess. So yeah, I finished that. And then I also finished all of the campaign in Power Washing Simulator. It took me a long time to do the final one. There's like a big building that you have to like completely clean. And I was doing it for like all day on Sunday. I watched an entire series of NCIS and just played Power Washing Simulator.
That sounds incredibly relaxing.
All
though.
day. Yeah, it was pretty good, to be fair. And it was great. I had a great time. But yeah, I've done all the campaign now, so that's uninstalled from my PC now. Otherwise, I will continue to play it, even though I don't need to. And then I also played some Tonky Hank's Pro Scooter.
Oh, yeah.
Tonky Honks.
Because for some reason, when MB was up a couple of weeks ago, he installed it on my PlayStation. I don't know why, he just did. So I had it installed already, and I was like, hey, why not? Hey, why not give this a go while it's here? Because I didn't really know what else to play. And I am so bad at it. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, because you never played the original, right?
No,
So
I've just kind of like slamming buttons and like holding different directions and stuff. And me and MB played together for a couple bits, and he would obviously just wipe the floor with me in every thing. It was like the one where you have to do a trick on something and then it paints it your color. And then someone else can like do a better trick and it'll make it their color. And I was like doing all these little tricks and like landing, and I was like, yeah, I'm doing so good. And then I'd turn around and Ben was just following me, like doing better tricks and like getting one. I was like, could you not go somewhere else? Like, it's mean.
No, got to make you feel bad.
And I got stuck in a bowl for like ages and I couldn't get out. And he was trying to tell me like how to just get out of the bowl. I was like, I know the control, but it's not working. I don't understand.
it is one of those things where like once you know how to do it, it seems like, oh, it's pretty easy to play. But actually it's not that easier. I'm not saying it's counterintuitive, but yeah, until you,
Yeah.
it's like riding a bike, I guess. Like, you have to just learn this is how it works. And then once you've got that, it's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, or
So-
using 2 sticks even is really difficult the first time you do it.
Yeah, so I tried to do a couple of like the solo, just like campaign stuff where you're just in a room and it's like collect the word skate, and I managed to like. It took me like 3 or 4 goes to get most of the stuff, and a couple of times it would tell me to do a gap, and I did not know what that meant or what I had to do. So I would just be like, "Well, let's move on to the next thing," because I don't really know what's going on. But the time limit, I can't get anything done in like a minute and a half, and I'm like, please, I need more time to collect all the textbooks in the school. I haven't got enough time. So I'm not very good at it, and I don't know if I'll keep playing it, but I have given it a go.
Nice.
Good.
Well done for
Thank
trying
you.
it out.
Thank you. That's what I played this week.
I've also played a little bit of Tanky Honk's
Have you?
Pro Skunker. Yeah, because it was on.
Because
it
Ben
was on
came up
Plus.
and installed it.
installed it on your
Yeah, Ben
PlayStation
also
2.
popped over and just installed it.
Oh,
and
was
I
it on
like, "What
Plus?
you did?" Yeah, it was
Maybe
on
that's why
Plus.
you
Like
got
a month ago, I think. And I was going to eventually buy this game anyway, just because Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was, I think, the first game I bought with my own money, of my own volition, after seeing it in the Argos catalogue. It was £20. We've had this conversation
Yeah.
before. And I was going to wait until it was £20 to buy it now. A, because I'm not really that fussed, and B, because it would be sort of poetic. But then it
Yeah.
was free, so it doesn't matter. I played it just in some like local multiplayer, just messing around in the hangar and stuff like that. And man, we get these questions from time to time where people want to know if is there a game that you feel like you're missing out on, or a game that you wish you were really good at. And my go-to is normally like fighting games, because I'm terrible at those. I want to change my answer to Tonky Hanks because no matter how long I've been playing these games for, all I do still is go up a ramp, hold grind until I fall over, despite the fact that I'm trying to balance, or go up a half pipe and hold circle in a direction and massively over rotate every time and get greedy and then fall over and over and over again. I'm just so rubbish at it. And I've been, to be fair, I only played Pro Skater 2 on PS1 and then didn't touch it again until like Project 8 or whatever on PS3. But I suck at it. I know what I need to do. I know how to manual. I know how to grind. I know all the buttons.
Understand that.
But I'm just rubbish at it. And I don't think I will ever have enough time, and now that I am 30 years old, to get the practice necessary to learn how to ride that bike.
I think it's something I'm okay at, because I, as well as having Pro Skater 2, I then had both Tony Hawk's Underground games and played those a lot. I completed both of those. And so, yeah, I guess I've had that practice, put those hours in, done that grind,
Done the grind,
say.
done the grind.
We were fully getting annoyed at each other because Ben kept trying to explain to me how to manual, and I just could not understand what he was
gotta
saying.
flick up and down.
I was like, I'm flicking up and down, but she's just going in the wrong direction. Like, she's not doing it. I just keep stopping, and he's like, no, you have to do it quick. I was like, what do you mean I have to do it quick? I'm doing it as quick as I can. And he was like trying to use the D-pad. I was like, but I've got to use the stick, and I can't use the D-pad at the same time. I don't understand what I have to do. And we were both getting very annoyed at each other. And I said, I'm not manualing. I can't be arsed. I don't understand it.
So yeah, I played a little bit of that. Only a tiny bit though. I also had some family up visiting, and we played some local games. We played Jackbox. We played The Quarry.
I'm really annoyed at Ben, actually. I'm going to air some grievances here.
Finished the
Whoa.
Quarry. I finished the Quarry
Ben
before we
asked
did
me
on
the
stream.
other day. Oh,
You finished it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He asked me the
Oh.
other day, have you finished the Quarry? I was like, no,
Yeah.
because we were playing it on stream. I was saving like
You've not
all
been playing
reactions.
it.
I haven't played
To
it.
be fair,
And he was like, oh, I finished
this-
it. And I was like,
this family visit has been booked in for months, and I thought we would have finished the Quarry a long time ago, but various circumstances have
Yeah.
prevented us from doing that. I'm fairly sure we're only one stream away from finishing it.
yeah.
But
I'm still upset.
I have finished it, but I had different characters alive in this playthrough.
Did you keep the little girl alive?
Yes.
With the big mouth?
Because of my knowledge. Because the big flapping mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you just not open the attic?
No, there's an order you do it in. You have to
Oh.
check the backpack first because it's got dog boy repellent in it.
Has it?
Yeah, it doesn't say dog boy repellent.
Yeah.
But there's some like bear mace and
Oh,
stuff,
right.
so you can
Oh.
escape. You do have to open the trapdoor though.
Oh, wow.
So it's seemingly anyway. Anyway, it was interesting to play it through with that knowledge in mind. The mild spoilers for the Quarry. You know the bit where Jacob, everyone's favorite jock boy, goes for a little dive in the lake in his pants, in his underoos.
And he gets his leg stuck.
He gets his leg stuck on the barbed wire. I thought I was, because I chose him again, I thought I was doing what I did on stream, which was just, instead of untangle, just pull against it. And it wasn't. And he just drowned. Like an hour into the game, just drowned in the lake of his own volition. He wasn't even killed by a monster. It was rubbish.
Wow.
I was so disappointed. But it has an ending. We'll get to it when we stream it.
Right, okay.
It has an ending.
So that's pretty cool. The main thing, though, that I've been playing is Cyberpunk. Played about sort of 10 or so hours of that. I am enjoying it. Man, it's impressively dark and quite sad. It's quite heavy. And largely, it runs bug-free. I'm still having some weird quirks, but I am enjoying the game. And I am able to effectively play as Barbara Piss by literally piling all of my skill points into unarmed combat and just sprinting into a room and punching everybody to death, which is really fun.
You should eventually try and get to the point where you can have the gorilla hands.
Yes, I want to get the gorilla arms.
Because they would just annihilate everything. It's crazy. You just walk in and just smack someone and they're just dead. Like,
yeah, got to do that. So I'm working towards that. But the other main thing that I've been playing is Saints Row.
Oh yeah,
which came out this week, and people hate it. They hate it. They absolutely despise it. It feels like it's getting dogpiled for like everything it's not, rather than everything that it is. I've seen so many, and I'm not saying people are wrong, because
look at the average score.
Everyone's
like
entitled
65%.
to their opinions. And to be clear, I don't think it's the greatest game ever. I think it's a bog standard open world. But coming from a place of playing Cyberpunk, which is very, very dark, and not having played a Saints Row game for a long time, and also not really playing any open world games for a while either, that I feel compelled to do stuff in them. This has felt like such a breath of fresh air. And while it definitely has its hang-ups, and I'm not pretending for a minute that it doesn't, it's not good, is it? I am really enjoying it. 63%. A lot of developers, a lot of the critical consensus that I saw is people drawing direct comparisons to GTA, which I'm not saying is unfair, but I would say that Saints Row has tried to forge its own identity outside of GTA for the longest time. So surely it should be compared to Saints Row and not GTA, because GTA is it's a behemoth by comparison. I would urge people not to be so quick to judge Saints Row. While it is buggy and very generic open world fare, I am having a lot of fun with it, and I find it, as I said, like a real breath of fresh air, and I find it really, really quite enjoyable. I'm not having a bad time with it, and the whole thing is in co-op as well if you want to mess around in it too. Maybe wait for a sale. You're right.
Metro.co.uk, I gave it 40%.
Get off the Metro now.
As did Video Gamer. But Metro said, this proves the point, really. Like, when I think of Saints Row, I think, it's a kind of a silly sandbox where you go and do stuff. And yeah, obviously there's a story, but it's designed to go around and be foolish.
And it's like gangy, which is the only relevance to GTA really, is that it's like gang.
It's about
violence.
crime.
And they've said this in a negative way. A tragically outdated open world adventure that almost has more in common with Goat Simulator than Grand Theft Auto, despite some moderately entertaining mechanics. I mean, they probably sort of want to have a bit more in common with Goat Simulator than GTA. That's kind of...
I just find it... I understand that it's an open world, a crime sandbox, and so Saints Row has always been fighting an uphill battle where it's always been compared to GTA. And again, I'm not going to bat for this new Saints Row here to the extent that people might think that I am, in terms of calling out critics and saying people's opinions are wrong. But I do think it's strange that now is the time to compare it to GTA, when Saints Row the Third and Saints Row 4 and Get Out of Hell all forged their own identity. And really, we should be comparing Saints Row, the new Saints Row, to them, not GTA 5, not GTA Online, because that's not really a fair comparison, I don't think, especially budget-wise, I would say. Even if you compare it to the other Saints Row games, it's not as good. But it is more Saints Row and silly, open-world, fun, bonkers time that we haven't had for a while, because Saints Row has been away for ages. So, as I said, I wouldn't buy it full price, but if you can get it on a sale or if it comes to Game Pass, I'd recommend giving it a go. You might genuinely enjoy it. This is one of those instances where I think maybe you should try it for yourself and see what you think. But I am enjoying Saints Row, and I do intend to finish it when I have the time to go back into it.
I've really enjoyed watching all of the bugs that people have found.
Oh, the bugs are
They're
crazy.
So good. I saw one where this guy was like stuck standing on top of a car and he couldn't do anything. Like he couldn't get off, so he was just shooting the car till it exploded. The car then exploded and he was still just stood there. And the police,
like the Simpsons.
Yeah, the police were like shooting at him, but then he just became like just invisible apart from his like camo vest, which was just like where he had like died.
Ironically,
or where the car,
that's
the
the
car
opposite. You
could see.
despawned and he despawned and the camo vest was all that was left.
Yeah.
That was great.
I didn't have access to this game too long before launch, but speaking to other people who reviewed the game who had it earlier than we did, it sounds like there was an earlier version that was even more buggy than the version that was the state at launch. So much so that when I played it and we recorded the Quipscope, which you can go watch if you want to see some footage of some of the bugs that I saw, or listen to it on the podcast feed, it was... I was certain that there would be some kind of day one patch. I said it in the Quipscope, like I'm sure there's going to be a day one patch.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem that there has been, which is not acceptable, to be clear. So wait for this one, wait for a price reduction, don't get it at launch, but do not be put off by the scathing reviews, because I think if you're a Saints Row fan in any sense, you will still find some fun in there, because I'm really liking it. So there we are. Let's move on to question 2.
I have a question here. It comes from Robert Mansell. Congratulations, dude and dudettes. THQ Nordic, or Embracer Group as they're now
Whatever
called,
they're
It's
called.
just about this.
have asked each of you to pick a remake of your choice. However, there is a catch. It must have been featured on Worst Games Ever. Each pick a game to be remade from the back catalogue of Worst Games Ever and tell me what changes you'd make, if any. Peace out. P.S. My mum Val sends her love.
Hi, Val.
Hello, Val.
Thanks,
Thank you, Val.
Val.
Why don't you come
Love
on
you.
over, Val?
Val
Val
Mansell.
Mansell.
Do. Peter,
Yeah,
did you have to go through the Worst Games Ever playlist to remind yourself?
definitely.
I did.
Yeah.
So did I.
I didn't even look at pre-TripleJump Worst Games Ever. I thought I'm going to just go with TJ stuff. But it's okay if you guys haven't done that. We've played some real bad games,
Yes,
haven't
we
we?
have,
And
yeah.
games that, like, we've played some games that, in fairness, probably played okay. Like, the Jackanism one was okay. I think Narnia was sort of all right because it was basically Lego, the like Telltale Lego games and stuff. So there's stuff like that, but then even the ones that play okay, the subject matter does not interest me. Like, I wouldn't want to play a new Pirates of the Caribbean game or a remake of an old Pirates of the Caribbean game. So I really struggled. Eventually I came up with, what if there was a new MTV Celebrity Deathmatch with modern day celebrities in it?
Good. Like, who would you want in it?
I don't know, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. That
Yeah.
was my first instinct, was like, yeah, just beat the crap out of Donald Trump.
Yeah, Kanye.
Yes.
Timothy.
Timothy Chalamet, he's one,
Yeah,
right?
he's
He's
a
a celebrity.
Yeah.
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles would be in it probably.
The Worm
Simon
from
Cowell.
Dune, Simon Miller.
Simon Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loads of people. Put them all in. Mark Hamill. For some reason.
Yeah.
I think that could be good. They could have a much better character creation because we made Billy Ray Cyrus.
We
Didn't
did, yeah, we did just about.
But they could like overhaul that. Let's face it, if THQ Nordic remade MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, they would just include, assuming they could get the rights, which they couldn't, they would just include the likenesses of the celebrities that were in it originally.
I don't think they had the rights. I think it was all a parody.
Well,
I think
yeah,
so
I guess
they
so.
could just do it again.
Yeah.
But a lot of those celebrities are no longer relevant.
No, but they would just remake the game, and even the character creator would probably just have the same like items in it and nothing more. But Robert Mansell did say we can choose what we want to change, and I would say make MTV Celebrity Deathmatch, put loads of modern day celebrities in there, I guess, and do a decent character creator so that we can make some monstrosities. Maybe Babs could be in there. I think that could be all right. So off you go, THQ Nordic. You could probably get the rights for that game as well if you wanted to. Don't know who owns it. Probably them.
Who owns MTV at this point? I don't actually know.
I don't know. So I was going back through the playlist, and then I ended up just watching the bus bit of Fast and Furious Crossroads.
Yeah.
For like,
Yeah.
I just watched that bit and like the bit before it. For
That
a
bus
while.
is going a bit fast, isn't it?
Because I just remembered it being really funny. So I just watched that for ages. So it didn't really look that hard. So this might seem a little bit on the surface, but
It's a big spider up there.
Is there?
I was doing a big old tip of the thing.
the-
And I
right.
just saw
it's
it
got
right in the top
little
of my
body,
field of
little
view.
legs, but like
Little
big.
body, big
I don't mind
gangly
those
boy.
ones, but some
No.
people hate them.
I wouldn't touch it. If
Sorry,
it stays
Ashton.
up there, I'm fine. It's okay.
Continue.
This one might seem a little bit like, oh, you just gone for the one that was most recent. But however,
Troll and I.
yeah, the one that seems like it had maybe the most potential to be
Yeah.
a decent game had it been made with any effort whatsoever. Smells like butter to me.
Smells like
Smells like
wood.
Would have, I feel like the Troll and I is a good shout. There's a lot of them, but I feel like no one would give really care because a lot of them are like you say IPs that like now we probably wouldn't care about. Like we don't want a new Pirates of the Caribbean
No.
game, or like we don't want Mary Kate and Ashley at the mall. But the Troll and I could work. It has just a little ounce of potential in the like the story could maybe work. The Troll, yeah, I guess it could work. If they just made it better, that would be nice. And they can make it look nicer, give it a little bit of like a Horizon makeover, put some, some colour in it. That would be nice. That could work. Of all the games that we've played on Worst Games Ever, that one could work.
It
I
had
think.
Big Brother's A Tale of Two Sons energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
that
did.
game
Yeah.
was really good. And
Yeah,
this
if
one
Team
was
Eco
really
made
bad.
Troll and I, that could be all right.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
Joseph Fares and Fares.
Yeah.
Shakira.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. It's a shame that it was
Mm.
rubbish. I've chosen The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, which I thought had a great premise and then was just rubbish across the board. Didn't work very well. The combat was terrible. The voice actors completely phoned it in from the show. It looked horrible.
Yeah.
And there was so much wasted potential because it was sort of, if I remember right, it's been a long time since I played it, but it was sort of almost a cross country. You're trying to get from A to B and you've got your car. You don't drive the car, but you have to, or you can make pit stops to get fuel and stuff. And you've got to fight
Yeah.
off the zombies there and pick up supplies and things like that. Like it's a cool idea, but it just seems like whatever they had planned, they had to strip it right back to the bare bones, and they could not do it justice. So if that was, good, maybe sort of like combine it with Dying Light, a little bit of The Last of Us in there as well, and you're having to stop dynamically on these journeys to venture into outposts.
Yeah, that could be good.
to pick up more fuel. I suppose a little bit like. What's it called? That motorbike game, the one that everyone loves with the shooting in the Deacon St. John. You know the guy. He's on
Ride
a
to
bike.
Hell
Ride to Hell Retribution. That's him. Yeah.
Mobile game, did you say?
No,
No,
motorbike.
motorbike.
game.
Oh, okay. I was like,
I
what?
don't know what you're
Flipping
talking
out. Where's my brain gone? Where is it? The Sony exclusive that's now on PC as well. Bloody hell.
Spider-Man.
No, it's
God
not
of
God of
War.
War either. Crap! What's going on? Where is it?
Can you give us anything
Give us
else?
something.
You play as Deacon St. John. They call them freakers.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know the one. Dying Light. No, not Dying Light.
No.
No, the motorbike one that's not right to Hell Retribution.
God.
With the like waves of like the liquid
Yes.
zombies.
Yeah, the hordes. What's it called?
I don't know.
I know that. I even know that its working title was Dead Don't Ride. Why can't I find its name?
Type in Dead Don't Ride.
Place. Yeah. Okay.
What is it? Why is my brain doing
Days
this?
Gone.
Days Gone.
Days
That's the
Gone.
Bloody hell.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! People listening at home just losing their minds. Like you blow a dog whistle or something, and everyone's dogs freak out. Everyone's screaming at their car radio. It's Days Gone, idiots! Yeah, a little bit of Days Gone, maybe that kind of vibe, but not open world, like
Yeah.
like linear, but with some of that exploration and inherent danger. And you've got to find. I can't believe I couldn't remember that name.
Oh,
There's just so many zombies. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe there are too many zombie games. Maybe that's the thing. But I thought the Walking Dead Survival Instinct had a lot of promise, and the fact that it tied into the show and had some of those actors as well when the show was really relevant.
Yeah.
it was such a miss.
Maybe Hideo could make it because you could have Norman Reedus in it.
It could be a
Yeah, I
Strand
think
game.
every game with Norman Reedus in it is technically a Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was
It's
a
a
Hideo
Strand game,
Kojima game because
Yeah.
Norman Reedus was in Survival
That
Instinct.
was actually the first Strand game.
Yes.
Yeah, it
We
was.
just didn't even know it.
No.
If you rearrange the letters of The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, it actually spells Hideo Kojima's podcast featuring his best friend in the whole wide world from now until the end of time, Jeff Keighley. And none of us saw it because he's that clever.
Has Jeff Keighley ever been in a Hideo Kojima game?
Yes, he was in Death
Yeah, I was
Stranding.
gonna say, wasn't he in Death
Oh, right,
Stranding?
okay. Oh, yeah, he was. I remember.
But he didn't do his own voice.
He was in
but
like the
his
promotional
model
stuff. They
was
showed
in
it early, I think,
Yeah.
before the game came out.
Yeah. Best mates. So that's what I would choose.
Also, Lair had a good concept, I think, that was
Yeah,
poorly,
they did have a lovely
poorly
concept.
delivered.
So did Haze. Haze wasn't so
Hayes was
bad.
good
Yeah.
too, yeah. There's a lot. There was that space game, the space racing game with the rich fiction.
Yeah.
PS1 game.
I nearly
whatever.
said that
yeah.
one. Sidewinder. No, Starwinder.
Starwinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been good
Yeah.
too. Well, it would be a bit strange, wouldn't it, that future, if
Yeah,
we found ourselves
bit
there where
peculiar.
those
Dinosaur
games were
people,
made. What it would
Be a bit
Weird
news.
It's weird news time. It's time for some weird video game news. Remember, you can submit your weird video game news to us on social media, Facebook and Twitter. We do a post. We ask for your weird news. We might read it here. We might give you a shout out. What will definitely get you a shout out, though, is supporting us at a certain tier at patreon.com/Team TripleJump and becoming a podcast producer. Here are the podcast producers for this week.
Nathan,
GY Goliath.
Sean Legg,
Corey Duffill,
Robin Wardle.
Ellie Nicholas,
Erica Hutchinson,
Melody Albonnet.
Katie Garrett-Jarrett.
and Gabrielle Philippink.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
We do.
We do.
Peter, you got some weird news.
I've got some weird news that was sent in by Stephen Skodes at sskodes8 on Twitter. It was a reply to our call for weird news, so please do that if you do. Please do. I'm just gonna
That's
stop
poo.
there. This is from Nintendo Life. Random! It's written by Alana Hagues or Haguez. I think that's Hagues, presumably.
I think that's Hagues, yeah.
Who says, Random!
Random.
Bob Hoskins didn't know Super Mario Bros. Movie was based on a game. And there's a little
Who's Bob Hoskins?
He played Mario in the live action.
Yeah, the Mario Bros.
Oh,
movie.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then there's a little subheading underneath, which is a quote, and it just says, "I used to play King Lear."
I don't think he played Mario. I think he played maybe Bowser, King Bowser.
Oh, did he? I thought
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins played
I don't think
Mario.
he did, because I did a list recently about
Oh, was it?
King Bowser was...
Yeah, it says he starred as Mario.
Oh, okay. Well, I take it back then.
The Super Mario
Such a
Bros.
bizarre.
movie is the gift that keeps on giving. While the 1993 film was critically panned, it wiggled its way into the hearts of many thanks to its reputation and interviews in the years. It wiggled its way into the hearts of many thanks to its reputation and interviews in the years that followed. The late Bob Hoskins, didn't know he was dead, who starred as Mario, has particularly garnered interest due to how much he reportedly hated working on the film. But in an interview from back in the day that's resurfaced thanks to @AT Movies, Hoskins apparently didn't even know the film was based on a video game. So this isn't even news. This is an old interview that's just been...
Olds.
I was going to say, if he's dead, how do they get this quote
Yeah, I
from
didn't know he was dead.
Bob Hoskins took a moment out from being dead.
We
A
got this
psychic medium has been in touch with Bob Hoskins. So he didn't even know the film was based on a video game. You know, one of the most successful video games of all time. Really, it's not that surprising, but his response below is pretty hilarious. Hoskins revealed in the interview that he was told that Super Mario Bros. Was a video game by his son, who then proceeded to show him the little red pixelated plumber jumping up and down. His thoughts? I used to play King Lear. We had a good chuckle at this. Hoskins' matter-of-fact response is priceless, but his thoughts on the movie are in contrast to his co-star, John Leguizamo, as Luigi, who said that the film broke ground back in the day.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
One Twitter user also cherry-picked the same amusing quote we did, but couldn't let this response go unnoticed because it's exactly the kind of joke we wish we'd thought of. Bravo. And they've just put an embedded tweet of someone else who's put, quote, I used to play King Lear. that's important to the article that someone on Twitter also picked out the same quote.
Okay.
And they wish that they'd made the joke.
Even
What?
though they set it as the subtitle.
And they've said it like 3 times already.
But we couldn't let this respond. Oh, there's a reply underneath it. So
Ah.
Mason Guevara put, I used to play King Lear as the quote. And someone replied to him and put, what system was King Lear on?
Great.
That's good.
Great. Okay. Fair enough.
It seems like we'll keep finding out little tidbits about the film over the coming years. The movie will be 30 years old next year, so perhaps there will be a big celebration, ?
No, they'll just release the new one and be like,
Yeah.
this is the only
This is the
Super Mario
new
movie.
one.
Well, it goes on to
that's
say,
ever made.
one thing we will be getting next year is a brand new animated Super Mario Bros. Movie with Chris Pratt starring as the plumber.
He's so
He's so
cool.
It doesn't
Cool.
say anything about how cool he is, but
Oh.
we know that he is.
Mm.
We'll have to see how that one stacks up to this classic
Oh.
in italics. Let us know what you think of this clip, as well as your thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Movie in the comments.
No.
Sound off in the comments.
Burp, 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 burp. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. And Stephen Skodas for submitting
You're
the weird
welcome.
news. I have some news that I was tagged in a lot for reasons that you'll soon come to know. But it was sent to me was replied to the post by Deadeye Minis at Simon Marston on Twitter. And it is, of course, from Eurogamer, written by Vicky Blake. Sega is now turning Space Channel 5 and Comics Zone into movies.
Chew, chew,
Up,
chew.
down, left, right, choo, choo, choo.
And then the subheading is Comics Sans. Get it?
Not really.
No, me neither.
Get it?
That was a genuine question. Can you explain it?
I know it's like the fun, but why is that relevant, Vicky? Because it's spelled like comics.
Because the other thing is called Comics.
Zone. Yeah, but Comics Sans is just their subheading. Like
Right. Okay.
There
There
would-
might be a deeper meaning to that, but I don't see it.
Was the character called Sans or something?
I mean, that's Undertale. Then.
Yeah.
Sega is giving 2 more of its classic titles the movie treatment: Sega Channel 5, Space Channel 5, and Comics Zone. No doubt inspired by the runaway success of the Sonic movies, Sega looks set to adapt the 2 games alongside Picture Start, which is also working on the upcoming Borderlands movie, which is seemingly now in post-production. Gee, can't wait for that.
Is it? In post-production?
Yeah.
How can you make a Space Channel 5 movie? I mean, maybe they'll tell us, but
Dance game Space Channel 5 will be retitled Channel 5, and according to Hollywood Reporter, tell the story of a hapless fast food worker who is recruited by a freedom reporter from the future to save the world from aliens using the one thing that unites all people on the planet: our love of silly viral dances.
oh no, viral
It's
dances.
going to be bad.
Oh,
Going to be so bad.
Oh.
Comic Zone, on the other hand, will be called Zone and follow a jaded comic book creator and young queer writer of colour who, when sucked into the final issue of his popular series, must put aside their differences to stop a dangerous supervillain from sowing complete destruction. In the process, they wittingly explore the ever-evolving art of storytelling itself.
they wittingly explore it, not unwittingly.
No, it says wittily. Sorry.
Oh, wittily.
Ah. Still.
So wittily. As yet, no stars have been attached to any leading roles, although the film will be written by Barry Battles and Near Paneri.
Barry Battles.
Yeah.
I would follow that man into war any day of the
That's
week.
the protagonist of another Sega
Yeah.
game, I feel.
And May Cat, respectively. Sega's Takuni.
Who's Maycat, respectively?
Oh.
Sega's Takumi Yoshinaga, Kaze Shimamura, and Toru Nakahara are also involved in the productions. Yesterday, we learned that Days Gone is the next Sony game to be getting a film adaptation.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah. We
That-
found that out
that
yesterday,
motorbike
apparently.
game.
The motorbike game. Apparently, the film will be written by Oscar-nominated Sheldon Turner, with Sam Hagen, who plays Outlander's Jamie Fraser, in consideration for the lead role of Deacon St. John. Oh, we're talking about Days Gone now.
Yeah, and Barry Battle.
Yeah. According to reports, the movie will also be a love ballad to motorcycle movies in a post-pandemic modern-day Western. So yeah, they're making a Space Channel 5 movie.
Post-pandemic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are we using that now as a descriptor
Yeah.
of the times we're
They'll
living
be
in?
like, you remember COVID?
Yeah.
It's like how in the Resident Evil TV show,
Yeah.
she says, like COVID, and he says, no, it's worse than COVID.
It's worse than COVID.
Yeah. But yeah.
My weird news comes courtesy of RB and Johnny Mac. Wow, they're really clumping today, aren't they, upstairs?
Big clumps.
This is a Kotaku article written by Luke Plunkett. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
baby.
Hell yes.
Editor of Weird News. Vintage Nintendo unboxing ends in tragedy is the title. Eric Vosquil, who runs the wonderful Before Mario and has written an excellent book by the same name, has one of the world's finest collections of Nintendo stuff. Recently, though, he managed to get hold of something that was special even by his standards. A couple of packets of Nintendo playing cards from the 1950s depicting the company's hometown of Kyoto. I cannot overstate how excited I was to find these 70-year-old Nintendo cards featuring Kyoto in the 1950s, Vosquil wrote excitedly on August the 7th. In all my years of collecting, these are the only copies I have come across. To put that into perspective, writing on his blog, Vosquil adds that this is the first time he's ever seen the cards printed entirely in English up for sale after spending more than 20 years of searching for vintage Nintendo items.
Wow.
And then it's got some embedded stuff, lots of adverts. Having publicly aired his hesitation over opening the packets, these are valuable, and if remained closed would retain that value, Vosquil eventually decided to open one of them and leave the other. Well, the adverts just pushed the entire article down. And leave the other, since that would let him see what the cards were actually like inside while also keeping the second set sealed. Sadly, his initial excitement didn't last long.
Oh no.
However, when I carefully removed part of the wrapper, I quickly discovered that all the cards had been completely fused together, he writes. They had remained pressed together for such a long time, likely under hot and humid conditions, that the ink on all cards had made them stick together completely. The stack of individual cards had turned into one solid brick. The photo prints on the cards that contain relatively large amounts of ink may have contributed to this as well. Note that these cards are old, and so lacked any of the plastic or laminates we'd normally associate with playing cards produced in more recent decades. These ones were made entirely of paper, so when he says that they have fused together, he means it. This is no longer a deck of cards, but an expensive block of paper.
It was fused back into a tree.
Yes, they have fossilized.
That's sad.
I wonder if that devalues any of, like, globally, in the global Nintendo trading market now, devalues those cards to an extent, because everyone knows that even if you have a sealed pack, inside they are fused together.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't matter.
It's probably just having a complete pack of any kind
Yeah.
is worth that amount. I don't know. That one's worth less now, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
it certainly is.
Solid block.
And so's his other one probably
opening.
now.
Well, yeah, the rest of the article was just fluff and filler, but it did say that he checked the other pack and they were the same.
Oh, no.
So now they're both worthless. Worthless.
I wouldn't have opened the second pack.
No,
I
I would
would
have
have
just
its wrapper.
Ignorance is bliss.
Schrodinger's block of paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's time for question 3.
It's from Richard Group, who says, "Hello, bossaroos."
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna annoy someone in the audience.
My hedgy wedgies.
The Sony lawsuit seems to tie the question last week of game pricing. I think tie into, or
Yeah.
I don't know. We talked last week about game pricing.
Okay.
Do you think that this will get the industry wheels turning and we will see a slight pricing shift in the future as a result of it? So yeah, the question was last week about whether you should wait around and see if stuff goes down in price after. Oh yeah, should there be a standardized thing?
Yeah, because
To
digital
say-
storefronts don't typically go down as much as like a physical
Mm-hmm.
release
They were
would.
saying, would it be good if everyone knew that after, say, 6 months, this game will go down in price, and therefore you could bide your time if you knew that, like, there was a standardized rule system, saying
Right.
it goes down to 75% or whatever. So that was the question. Well, Richard, but just before we started recording this podcast, and we've probably not any of us had time to actually read the article. So all the best reporting comes from I read the headline.
Yeah.
But the headline says that the PlayStation 5 will be going up in price to, was it, quote, match global market
Something
changes
like
or
that.
something?
In a number of regions, including the UK and Europe.
They
Yeah.
said the cost of living is going up, so is the cost of gaming. Gamers
Sucks for you,
Suck
boys.
it.
Yeah.
What's that about a pandemic? What's that about a chip shortage? Yeah, it was that price all through that. But now that you can't afford to pay your energy bill, PS5's getting more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So I don't know if I'm a bit confused in a way by the Sony lawsuit. So for those who don't know, Sony are being sued for $5 billion.
Pounds.
Pounds.
It's a British
British
law.
Oh, is it a
lawsuit.
British lawsuit?
Yeah.
For allegedly charging, is it like 30%?
So it
they've been like
says-
skimming off.
So the claim filed at the Competition Appeal Tribunal alleges the gaming company abused its position as the market leader to impose terms and conditions on games developers and publishers, including a 30% commission on every digital game or in-game purchase made through the online PlayStation Store. The legal case claims Sony PlayStation's actions have driven up prices for consumers, resulting in customers being unwittingly overcharged for digital gaming purchases by a total of £5 billion for the past 6 years. The estimated damages per individual in the claim is set to be between £67 and £562. It applies to any customer who purchased digital games or add-on content in their console through the PlayStation Store since August 2016.
What website was that from?
BBC News.
BBC. I've also got some stuff from Push Square here. It's worth noting that almost all digital storefronts take a 30% cut on products sold, including the Microsoft Store and Nintendo eShop. Emerging competitors like the Epic Games Store have aggressively lowered their rates against PC-based storefronts like Steam in an effort to attract more content, but still take 12% off the top. So the reason they're going for Sony is because they're the market leader.
Yeah.
But everyone does this, which leads me to believe that this lawsuit doesn't really have a prayer.
Well,
but
they seem to think they've got quite a strong case.
They're hinging it all on this like Consumer Rights Act that was introduced in the UK like a few years ago, I think. I don't know if it says it in the article there. I don't have access to it here. But that is what basically their entire case hinges on. Because if this won, this would set a very... Well, I don't know what would happen because, as it says there, lots of other platforms are doing exactly the same thing and have always done the same thing. There's another bit of the Push Square article I'll read here. Interestingly, the suit only covers the past 6 years of purchases, despite this business model dating all the way back to the original PS1. Oh no, I have got it here. It seems the entire suit hinges on a Consumer Rights Act introduced in the UK in 2015, which includes clauses pertaining to the sale of digital goods. So it's only a recent thing. Sony, this has been their model for a very long time, as has been the model of everyone else. So we will see what happens. I don't believe that they really have a chance because Microsoft and Nintendo will also not want this to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't think that this will go through, but we will keep an eye on it. However, the question is, will this make a difference to game prices, Peter Austin?
No, I don't think so. I mean, especially given that, Sony, the lawsuit is against Sony as the market leader. But I mean, the fact is, you buy a copy of, I mean, I just double checked this to be absolutely certain, but I knew full well before I looked. You buy a copy of Saints Row, Madden NFL, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right now, it's exactly the same price on Xbox as it is on PlayStation, because this lawsuit is not about Sony specifically being the baddies. So ultimately, the whole market is going to have to respond to this, even if it's Sony who are in the firing line. And I think the market as a whole will decide people have been paying this much all along. Why wouldn't they carry on doing so? Even if Sony ends up having to give out a load of cash to people for compensation, ultimately, those handouts may or may not happen if this goes through. And then once that's been done and dealt with and, all those boxes ticked, I don't think anyone is going to turn around and go, let's start bringing prices down, especially in light of the fact that the price of the PlayStation 5 is going up in response to global market shifts and the cost of living. So I don't think it's going to change the price of anything. It's certainly not going to bring them down anyway. I just wonder, perhaps, can Sony afford a $5 billion lawsuit? I know they're a big company, but £5 billion pounds is a lot of money.
That is a lot.
The article, the BBC one, it spoke to Alex Neil, who is the one who's filed the complaint. She seems to think that they'll just pay out because the cost of them paying the consumer and everyone getting their money back is less than the £5 billion. So she seems to think that rather than taking it to court, they'll just pay out. But I don't know if they will. But that's what I think she's hoping for. But she said it will take years for this to even make any effect on them / the consumer see any money if they do decide to pay out. So
none of us are legal experts either. But
No.
you have to imagine that all the other storefronts and platforms would have a vested interest in preventing this from going through because of the precedent that it would set. I assume, actually, you're right, Ashton, that in terms of the article, if they just pay out, again, not being a legal expert, that means that a legal precedent hasn't been set because they've just paid out. Whereas if they take it to court and lose, then there's a legal precedent.
And then everyone can go for everyone.
Yeah.
Then
it's a
you
free
can be
for
like,
all.
well,
Yeah.
Sony's been
It's a
got,
free-for-all.
and they had to pay out £5 billion.
What would it mean for Game Pass? I have no idea if that's
Yeah.
completely immune from this or a totally separate thing. Again, and no idea how this could
I assume it
really affect things if they took it to court.
Depend what the
Yeah.
commission model is with
Yeah.
Game Pass itself.
But with Game Pass, obviously, like you don't have to pay for the individual game.
No, you
No,
don't.
And
well,
your
that's the
price
thing,
doesn't go
yeah.
up depending on a game if they add it. But I assume it would be like if you pay for a game via your Microsoft account
Yeah.
that is not on Game Pass, that would, I assume, count because
Yes,
that's the whole
absolutely. I
thing.
just wonder if there would be any knock-on effects, how that would affect their pricing and business models across the board if they're suddenly potentially receiving a significantly reduced income. Or if just, as we're talking about the game prices here ultimately changing, if it stays the same and that just means that the publishers and developers get more money and the platform holders get less money. Which again, in the case of Microsoft, could affect Game Pass. In the case of PlayStation, could affect PlayStation Plus. Like it could knock onto all sorts of things. But who knows? What do you think, Ashton? Though, do you think it's going to affect game prices?
I don't think so. I think, like you say, if it does go through, potentially it could affect game prices because they might be forced to take less commission, which would mean that game prices could potentially not be so high because the devs and publishers will still make their money of the same amount without having to like give Sony a bunch of their money. So they could probably charge less if they wanted to. But also, like you say, that we've been paying this price for games for the last however many years. So why would they bother? If they know that they're like, well, Sony can now only take 15%, so we'll just keep the prices we are and just take more money. Because realistically, that's what it all is. It's about, we live in a capitalist society where money is the most important thing. And just because they don't have to give Sony 30% anymore doesn't mean that they have to lower the prices at all. It just means that they get to take a bigger portion of money away from the game sales. So I don't think it's going to affect it too much. I don't think devs and publishers will see this as opportunity to get on gamers' good sides and take their prices down. I think unfortunately, most publishers and devs will just be like, well, more money for us, because the more money we have, the more money that is in our CEO's pocket. And he says, make more money.
The danger would be if Sony or whoever, Microsoft or anyone with a platform like that does continue to have that kind of control over someone and to be able to affect the pricing in that way. If a ruling is made that, say, for example, says you can only now have 15% rather than 30%, Sony might then just pressure publishers to increase their prices. So Sony is still getting like 20 quid per sale.
Oh yeah, the price could well go
It could go
up.
up in response.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people are seeing this and thinking, oh, the price could go down because they'll charge less commission.
No.
That comes to me. No. They might want to make the same amount of money per sale and therefore pressure the prices to go upwards.
Yeah.
EA might decide that, well, they've been paying £60 a year for EA Football Club FC or whatever the hell it is, EA Sports FC for the past 10 years or whatever. So even though Sony want less of a cut, maybe we'll just increase our cut, increase our earnings and keep it at the same price.
Yeah.
And then Sony decides, well, I still want to make the same money that I did before, or at least I want to make some money. So it's their percentage has got to go on top of that as well. So yeah, it could go up. It genuinely could go up.
Yeah.
But unless if this goes to court and Sony lose, then there could be some changes. But as it stands, I do not think the price is likely to change. In fact, even if it does go to court, I don't think the price is likely to change because this dates back, or this covers the last 6 years. And 6 years ago, the games were cheaper than they are now. And that's still, they could still be that same price and they'd still be coming for Sony. It doesn't make any difference what the game prices are. It's that 30% that's the issue, not the overall price all told. So yeah, I don't think it's likely that it'll change, but we'll have to keep an eye on this one because it's a lot of money. We will see what happens. It's time for something else that's a little large. It is the
It's also a discussion.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a big
It's a
discussion.
big discussion.
It's big discussion time. Time for the big video game discussion. This week it comes courtesy of Cameron Keyword. Ni hao, Bap. What did you think about Gamescom? To be clear, I think Cameron's asking about Gamescom Opening Night Live, which was Jeff's conference that we live reacted to on Tuesday evening. At the time of recording, Gamescom is still ongoing, and there may well be announcements after this podcast has been recorded.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the reveal of Scars Above, as well as the shot crossover between Mini and Pokemon. I didn't. I had been doing some pre-alpha testing for Moonbreaker, which was revealed at the event, so seeing something that I had been testing for almost a year was my personal highlight. Kind regards, Cameron J. Keywood. So we're not going to run through everything that was announced at Opening Night Live or shown off, but we've coupled together some of the games that we liked the look of. I know we agreed 3, but I did manage to choose 5. I'm really sorry.
I got rid
written
of
down
2
5.
Because I could have done 5 as well.
Okay.
I also
remember
did
what they
5.
were?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Do you remember what they are?
Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
You're going to tell us. You tell us.
Should we do one at a time?
Yeah,
around?
let's
Okay.
go round like it's game of the year.
Well,
overall, I suppose I should ask you, what do you think? What did you think of Opening Night Live?
Like, it was pretty unexciting, to be honest. I think the only stuff that I was like actively interested in were things I already knew about, and those are the two that I dropped from my 5 are 2 games that I already knew about, and therefore, in a way, it wasn't actually that exciting because I already knew about them. Whereas in terms of reveals and like here's new stuff, there were like 3 that looked kind of interesting to me in some way, shape, or form, and then the rest I wasn't that interested in at all. So it wasn't bad, but it just was very underwhelming, I think.
You said something after we finished streaming that I thought was quite interesting. You said, what I kind of walk away from the same way I've been feeling recently with a lot of conferences, being like, maybe gaming isn't for me anymore.
I've been thinking that for a while.
Yeah, increasingly these shows, they've never been more diverse in terms of the stuff they've shown. But these showcases are very transparently... I get your point. But more transparently recently, it's just been, how much money will you pay for how much time on this show? And then it's just a trailer. There is so much stuff increasingly in these shows that I have so little interest in, and I'm running out of polite ways to say, oh, that'll be for someone, but not for me. And I'm so glad that these audiences, there are audiences for these games, and they're doing well enough to be at these shows. But I'm just seeing I feel like there's less and less, or fewer and fewer games to be excited about. Every time I watch one of these shows, these showcases, I feel a little less excited going in than I would have done a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because the landscape is shifting. I don't know if it's because actually I just hate video games now. And then I think, no, you don't hate video games. That's an absurd thing to say. But I just see, especially this year, there's just so much wish list on Steam kind of stuff, which shouldn't be a derogatory thing, but it's just not what I'm interested in at all. And it was just, it becomes a harder and harder watch each time.
I think one of the issues is that we now seemingly get more shows like this throughout the year, or certainly you do if you include things like directs and things like that in there. If you count those all as these events where trailers are revealed, stuff is like being spread thinly throughout the year. And I think if you just had like, here's E3, it's once a year, PlayStation are going to be there, Bethesda are going to be there, Xbox, and they've been saving everything up since last E3.
Yeah,
I know that's only broadly speaking, they've never done that entirely, but you know, if they were banking things for E3 and then had this huge reveal, that would be great. But now that we get like little bits, we get drip fed information throughout the year, which in a way is also a good thing, but it means that now you don't have these like big hitting conferences in the same way that maybe you used to.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a bit draining as well. Like we got like halfway through and I was like, God, the camera's bugged out.
We've frozen. We've frozen.
You're talking, so hopefully it's only just done it. Can I do that?
There we go. If you're watching the video version, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, it's kind of draining. I got the first hour and I was like, oh, come on, I need something now. A little pick me up. Please, Jeffrey, please.
Jeffrey,
please.
Throw
And
us a
then
crumb.
like the last half an hour just felt like it just felt bad. I just felt bad. Like I was like, I'm just being like, stuff's just being rammed in my face that I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch any of these again.
It's
like
all revealed ahead of time as well.
And like Jeffrey told us everything was going to be
All
there.
big stuff.
And then like the Hideo Kojima thing. like there was like I have a podcast. I was like, come on, like really, this is what we're doing. The Poker Mini. And afterwards, after the Poker Mini, I just sat there and I was like, I don't even have the energy to like react to what I'm seeing at this point. Like I'm exhausted by this. Like I'm run out of like you say, of ways of being like, I'm not interested, or like being like, this could be good. I've lost my ability to like hide my emotions, which is there's like a picture that someone like took of me during the stream where I just look so sad.
Ashton looks like a deflated balloon.
I look so sad because
you look like how we all felt.
I was just like, man, I was really excited for some of these announcements and some of this stuff, and I just feel like it just feels bad, man.
Some people could misconstrue what we're saying as being sort of like complaining about a very privileged position that we are in to have this as our job and to live react to this stuff. But I want to make it clear that that's not the case. It's just that we've all witnessed these #GetHype moments at these conferences, and we've all been through E3's past where it's been really exciting and you don't know what's going to come, and they've got these big announcements, and then it just feels for the past basically since the pandemic began that all the air's been sucked from the room, and these just are increasingly slogs to watch. And we're not saying that because we're complaining that our jobs are hard. It's that we are fans of games and we want these to be exciting, and they're just increasingly not. But in spite of all of that, we've still managed to pick out some games that look exciting to us. But when you consider that there were, maybe 30 plus games across the 2 hours, to only be able to pick out a handful, I suppose that's pretty good going. But at the same time, I feel like the batting average used to be a lot higher than it is now.
Yeah. And some of these games that I've picked are kind of like, I liked the look of this, but I don't know if I will like it as much when it comes to actually purchasing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of vibes.
Sort of a, ooh.
And also, like, a bunch of these were just CG trailers, so I have no idea what the game looks like. So.
The amount of CG trailers, gameplay, for the love of God, please.
The ones that I brought along that weren't games we already knew about or had, that I wasn't already excited about, all three of them, I think, have caveats to them.
Asterisks.
Yeah.
So Peter, run us through your number 5, I suppose.
Oh, I've not even ordered them, but in terms of the one of the two that I removed, Hogwarts Legacy, which I've already seen plenty of. I was already keen to play it. I knew it was going to be there, and actually, even for what it was, it's not the trailer I was hoping for, because it was like the whole thing was like, oh, here's the angle you can come at if you're a dark wizard, or it's like maybe a quest line or something. And they were saying, oh, if you order early, you get all this like Slytherin apparel and stuff. And it's like,
and 72-hour early access.
And that's not good. I don't like that. But the whole thing was like, oh, this is like a dark wizard trailer essentially. And that's not how I will be playing my character, I don't think, apart from the places where I maybe have to. Like, it's probably going to force me at times to do something. Yeah, but...
do it, or I'll cast the Crucio on you.
In terms of, like, RPGing, I'm not going to be playing a character like that. So, actually, that trailer turned out to be completely irrelevant to me. But it's a game I'm interested in, and I suppose it was nice to at least see that it's still coming. They didn't change the release date or something on the trailer.
It exists,
even though they have changed it recently. But yeah.
So I had like a couple that I wrote down that we already knew about that I will not talk about unless someone else mentions them, because I'm like, I already know about them. We've already seen stuff. I'm not really that bothered. But if we're going like 5th to like most excited, I'd probably say Atlas Fallen, which was the one with all the sand guy, and then like there was like
there were a couple of sand ones.
Yeah, there was quite a lot. The one where he like built the bridge. There's like a magic.
And
they were like skidding around in the like gameplay, like they were like sliding everywhere.
Looked a bit Forspoken.
Yeah, it looked a bit Forspoken-y, and I'm intrigued by it. I might have to go like see if there's any more gameplay, because every bit of gameplay they showed us was
camera just flickered.
So like fast and like such like jumping cuts between things that I don't think any of it actually like registered in my brain, but like it looked interesting. Again, I don't know whether I will pick it up, but I will see what it's like.
The camera's having a really rough time of it.
Rough time right now. I'll see what it's like, and if it looks interesting when it comes to actually releasing, maybe I'll pick it up, but I thought it looked interesting.
I'd forgotten about that, and I looked through an article of like everything at Gamescom to make sure, and I must have missed that one, but that probably would have been one of my 5 actually. So yeah, it's a good shout.
My number 5 is High on Life, which I know you guys are very
I
excited
didn't.
for. That's the Justin Roiland game where he does the same voice throughout the whole thing. But I'm looking forward to that, having played there, because I think the studio is Squanch Games. I think that's them. I played their other games as well, and they were really good. I really enjoyed those, so I'm looking forward to some abject silliness.
I'll definitely give High on Life a go.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
intrigued
even
by
I
it.
will.
Yeah.
Sort of
Even though you hate him.
hope that I find other guns.
Oh, jeez, Peter.
I imagine that he's going to have to do different voices for different guns. They'll probably, some of them will be voiced by other people, but like I'll probably spend as much time as I can not using the blue handgun.
You
Just
know
to-
that's going to be the side character that you have to have with you. At
Oh
all
yeah, it
times.
will force you to use it in a lot of encounters, I'm sure. But yeah.
What else you got, Peter?
Callisto Protocol is another one that
I also have that.
we've
number
seen
4.
lots of, and you know, I was already excited for it, but it looked really good. I quite enjoyed the spinning blade room he was in, and then he died in a horrible way, as they seem to
Always
like
do.
to do. It's not actually a USP really that like your character can die in horrible ways. That's been happening in games for a very long time, but they really seem to be like pushing that. Like when they first revealed it, when they were saying, oh yeah, and this game you can die in some really gruesome ways. Let's have a look at that. And they showed it. And it's like, okay, right. You mean like a lot of other games in that genre.
Oh, but it was gruesome though.
It was gruesome, but you know, it's not that unique. But if you want to try and sell your game on that, then fine.
Callisto does look interesting. I didn't put it on my list because we already knew about it.
Yeah.
And we saw basically the same. We saw like a really random bit of gameplay for it as well, like just going down like a water slide for what felt like ages.
Oh yeah, the slide.
Yeah.
When I was looking back at the video, I was like, God, that bit went on for a while.
It's one of the best sliding sections in video games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It looks
It was
fun.
pretty intense.
Looks
Yeah.
fun.
My, I guess, number 4 is Dorf Romantic. That it was only mentioned because they had
got
to
that.
mention a German game. Is literally what
Yes.
Jeff said. So it looks pretty cute.
We love to
Yeah. It
spotlight
does look
German
sweet.
games here at Gamescom.
So
Here's one.
It's a Nintendo Switch game. It looked pretty cute, pretty just like relaxed, just kind of chill. So
Yeah.
probably a good game if you've got, my brain where you're like, I want a game where I turn brain off, not to do much at the moment. So I'm definitely going to look into that. I don't know if it's out yet. I think I might have to see if it's out now. But that looks pretty good.
Yeah,
So,
I've got that as one of mine.
I also put Callisto Protocol for my number 4. So this is not something I ever have any intention of playing on my own. But I think it would be really fun to stream, and it looks pretty terrifying. We'll see if there's much more substance to it beyond the gruesome deaths.
Yeah.
And the slides.
Out of in a kind of okay kind of position, I've written Everywhere, which is a bit of a mystery.
That was weird, wasn't it?
I'm sure actually you tried to look at the website there and then,
Yeah,
didn't you?
and
And
it
it just
broke
broke.
my phone.
So I've not actually had the time to look up whether there's actual information out there about exactly what this is yet. Because even when they brought the guy out on stage, he just kind of said, "Yeah, you'll be able to do all sorts of stuff." He didn't. I don't think he ever actually said whether it's a sort of Dreams-esque game where you're kind of creating your own content, but that seemed to be what it might be.
Because everything looked different from
Yeah.
everything else.
So I
different art
assume
styles.
it's a kind of a creativity. He was saying like play, share, create sort of thing. Those were the sort of buzzwords he was using. So I assume it's a bit sort of make your own game, Dreams, Little Big Planet kind of thing. So if it is that, I'd be interested in it. If it's not, I'm interested to find out what it actually is.
Yeah, it was very mysterious.
Yeah.
My number 3 will definitely be your number 1.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait and I'll just say something else. There was a game called Under the Waves that was quite interesting looking. It kind of was like a bit Subnautica-y. You go around in your submarine.
Too spooky for me.
And you were like under the water walking with like a little sea ghost and stuff. And it looked quite interesting. We only had a CG trailer, so I don't actually know what the game will look like. But it looked like a bit of a story driven, kind of a bit spooky but under the ocean kind of thing. So that looked quite interesting as well.
I've got Lies of P
Oh, yeah.
up next, which is a name that I do not like. but it's a Pinocchio game.
Souls-like.
It's a Souls-like Pinocchio game where it's sort of set in a steampunky. It's got a lot of people have compared it to Bloodborne, and I see that, but I see more Dishonored sort of world, albeit sort of fallen, kind of like Bloodborne and end of the world kind of situation. But it looks a bit more steampunk than it does Victorian Lovecraftian Gothic horror like Bloodborne is. Looks interesting. Not sure about the design of Pinocchio or P, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because he looks a bit sort of boy band. And when I was looking it up earlier, there was an article that said there's so much Pinocchio going on at the moment, from Netflix to Disney to even video games, but only one of them is hot. And it was talking about the video game, and I was like, I mean, fair enough.
Not sexualize the wooden boy.
Can we not sexualize it? I think in this case, maybe the metal boy.
Not a man. He's a boy.
I mean, I'm not expecting Pinocchio to like be jacked and ripped, you know, and have like a buzz cut or something like that. But at the same time, this game could have been about anything other than Pinocchio, but for some reason they've chosen Pinocchio. I don't know why. It makes me a little less interested in it because it's about Pinocchio. But if it was a Souls-like set in that setting, a sort of steampunky, Victorian-y kind of place, I would have been, I think, far more interested. I'm still interested, but I just think the Pinocchio twist is very bizarre, and I don't know why that. And Lies of P.
That's the letter P. Name.
Just call it Lies of Pinocchio. That would be better than Lies of P.
Lies of P is just, it sounds crude.
If they didn't tell us that it was about, because Jeff said before it was happening, he was like, oh, it's based on Pinocchio. If they didn't tell us that, we would have had not one single clue that it was about Pinocchio.
No.
Or even had anything to do with it. There was like a guy that was like, okay, he's just an old man. Obviously he's Geppetto, but like, he could not have been.
Seemingly maybe a Jiminy Cricket as well.
Yeah,
like
in a lantern. Every time Pinocchio lies, he can piss a bit further. That's what this game is about. What have you got, Peter?
I'm interested to see what other people do with Park Beyond. I don't have time to play theme park building simulator.
I love the idea
games,
of theme park games.
I really
read
like
an
them.
article about that the other day, and someone had got early access, and she was saying that like she's played a lot of these like theme park things, but she said that it's really good and she's really enjoyed it so far. Like it's quite different from everything else that she's done.
I sometimes watch videos of people playing games like that on YouTube because people are better at them than I am. They make some really fun stuff. Either they do like genuinely really interesting, creative, like really cool parks, or as you said, I think when we were streaming at the time, some people break games like that and make horrendous like hellscapes. So I know for a fact that like Let's Game It Out, for example, is probably going to play Park Beyond and make some sort of torture theme park.
Yeah, have like the path going right in the incoming path of one of the flying coasters and just sending all of these like characters just scattering across.
So if only for the content I'll be able to watch rather than play, I am glad that that's happening. And it does look, even for a park building game, it looks quite good.
So we haven't actually seen any gameplay for it yet. We've only seen
CG
but
from
trailers.
What they've, the CG trailers kind of promise features almost, don't they? Like the way that they show things happening. So it looks interesting in that way.
Dead Island 2 was interesting. The CG trailer didn't look too dissimilar to the gameplay, which was quite nice. I mean, obviously it was a CG trailer, but like the art style and the graphics were still really good when it showed us some gameplay.
Did we see gameplay in that one?
Yes, they did a CG trailer.
It was slightly
and then
washed
they
out.
spoke to a lady, and then they showed us some gameplay.
Oh man,
So would you like to see some gameplay?
It was right at the end.
Yes, no, you're right.
It was past
the
Pokemaning. We'd like really checked out at that point. It was right at the end.
That was Khan, wasn't it? The lady.
Khan, with the
person
one
called
name.
Khan, and we were like, "That's so cool."
What a cool person.
I was slightly
Ashton.
put off by the gameplay, I have to say. Like Dead Island, I know Dead Island is not a good game, but I at least remember it being very colourful and quite, as the sun was always shining and there was a lot of, it was very saturated. And I thought something looked a bit off, like a bit sort of filtered with that one. I was like, oh, that's a shame that they've even lost that aspect of it, like all the popping colour.
Also, like, it's set in LA, which is not, in fact, an island.
No.
So
I would be fascinated to learn about the various iterations that this game has existed in because it's been in development for so
forever.
long. Yeah, this is. I think this I'd be surprised if this game hadn't been completely scrapped multiple times.
Yeah.
They started from scratch, or if there's just foundations upon foundations
you
of
can
old
see
code,
the
and you
old
can
bits.
see like where old bits of design meet new bits. And
Yeah.
it feels very 2014 or whatever, where, whenever it was meant to come out.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it. We'll see if we get some more info. I don't think we got like a release date or anything yet, or even like a hint as to when it is coming. I think maybe 2023 they might have said, but I can't
find it
remember
fascinating
exactly.
that it still needs to exist, because that company, those developers abandoned that game and made Dying Light instead, which by all accounts is a significantly better zombie game. And then we've still got Dead Island. I hope it's good, but you know,
it's kind of surprising that
We'll see.
they've decided to go with Dead Island 2. Like, they probably would have done just as well to reboot it and kind of almost say, like, we know the first one actually is not very fondly remembered. Here's Dead Island reboot.
yeah.
But whatever.
Weirdly, I thought the first one was rubbish, and I remember at launch how buggy it was, and YouTube was exploding in popularity at the time. And I remember specifically there was like the melee attack animation from the first person didn't look too bad, but in your shadow and in the mirrors you could see your character just sort of does this,
Right.
and just like they're stirring a big pot, and it
Yeah.
looks really weird and janky. But then every bit of online discourse I've heard about Dead Island since, it seems people really fondly remember that. And I'm not sure why, because I don't think that it reviewed particularly well either. And I certainly didn't enjoy it. But I think some people really do hold it in high esteem, which is a bit of a shock to me.
I was really impressed with how quickly you figured out it was Dead Island 2 during
Yeah,
the
it was
trailer.
very
You saw
quick.
you saw like one like ashtray and like a
And some
shot
palm
of some
trees
palm
outside.
trees, and you're like, it's Dead Island 2.
It's because he said it's a game we've been waiting for ages, and we were like, what could it be?
What could this
it's
be?
Dead Island 2. You mean the one that you headlined your Summer Game Fest with a trailer that parodied it and took the piss out of it?
Yeah.
No moral standards at all, Jeffrey.
It was also kind of weird that the gameplay was all like censored and stuff. Do you remember?
Why was
okay,
that?
now I do remember.
Yeah, that was really odd, given that we'd seen Callisto Protocol of a
Where a
man
guy
getting
gets
smashed
sliced
in
in
half.
You couldn't see the impact of the weapons with the zombies' heads, but you could see the aftermath. They
Yeah.
didn't mind you seeing that.
They were
was
like, you
really
see a
odd.
man's head rip in half from the jaw, but you couldn't see that actually
Nah,
happen,
you
which was
couldn't see
kind of
that.
weird. But
Disgusting.
yeah.
My number 2 is Gotham Knights, which we've
Yes.
seen before, but I think I'm
seen
getting
so much this
I'm getting a
game,
bit
man.
more excited the closer we get. I am still a bit nervous about the nature of its open world and every enemy having levels above their heads, and you're chipping bits of health off and stuff. Like I don't know how I feel about that. It feels a bit, I know it's not, but it feels a bit live servicey.
Yeah.
Kind of, and I'm a bit concerned. But I'm willing to jump into I'm just scared it's going to be Marvel's Avengers again. But I'm looking forward to the story at least, and we will see how much of a focus there is on that.
I didn't love the Harley Quinn, like the bits we saw of Harley Quinn.
The voice
I
wasn't very good.
really loving that, but I am excited that it's a multiplayer story game.
Yes.
And
We'll have to bat it up.
Yes, bat it up.
Who are you playing as?
Obviously, Batgirl.
Well, that's not fair because I wanted to play as Batgirl. And we can't both be Batgirl.
One of us needs to change.
One of us has to go home and change.
Or Robin, because I just think Robin's funny. What a funny
Yeah,
little dude.
Okay, what a funny little... You just want to ruffle his hair, you little crime fighter.
Yeah, little crime fighter, thank you.
You little traumatized crime fighter.
Robin's funny whenever he's in something where like Nightwing is also there, because Nightwing was basically, I mean, I don't actually know my
He's
Batman
cool
history,
Robin.
but I imagine he was invented to be cool Robin.
Yeah.
And so
I do like Nightwing. I may
Who's
play
the
as
other
him.
guy? Nightwing, Batgirl,
Red
Robin,
Hood.
and Red
Yeah.
Hood.
Yes,
Yeah.
who was murdered. One of he was the second Robin who was murdered by the Joker and then resurrected.
yes, that's
Right.
right.
And he's
See.
very much an anti-hero. He
Yeah,
does,
but
he
there's
does
so-
kill him.
We've seen so much of this like random bits of gameplay, like of Nightwing just zipping around on his little like parachute. And,
Yeah, his
like,
little Fortnite glider.
yeah, and then it's got like we've seen quite a lot of the fighting mechanics. So this was like a villain trailer
Yes.
that we saw.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm intrigued by it, and they, for some reason, bafflingly, they were like, it's coming out earlier, 4 days earlier than the promised release date.
So that video we've been trying to desperately make about 10 things you need to know about Gotham Knights has now gone for its second round of retakes because of the trailer they released earlier this week and then opening night live where they changed it again.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't want the Joker to be anywhere near this game because unless it's Mark Hamill, unless it's Mark Hamill Joker,
but we kind of got a shot of him,
be weird.
though.
Did we?
Do you not remember there was like a bit where they were like in a masquerade ball and there was a guy wearing a purple suit, walking around, and I thought, is that the Joker? But we didn't like get it confirmed or anything. We got Clayface, Chili Man, Harley Quinn,
Dr. Cold. The existence of Harley Quinn implies that the Joker should be around somewhere, but he could be dead in this universe. It's just no one can touch Mark Hamill Joker.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe Alan, is it Tudyk? How do you pronounce his last name?
Oh yeah.
Who voices the Joker in the Harley Quinn show, and he does a great job there. But I don't want, because it's gonna be it's gonna be bloody what's his name? You know the guy.
What's he done?
Dying Light.
Not Dying Light. What's it called? The motorbike game. It's gonna be Troy Baker or one of Troy Baker's mates, and you're gonna hear them and go, "That's Troy Baker or one of Troy Baker's mates."
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, we've spoken about it before. They're all very talented, but if you're gonna have the Joker, you've got to get Hamill in there.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Yeah.
So I'd almost rather there not be the Joker in there, to be honest.
Mm.
As interesting as it would be to see a Joker in a Batman-less world, the kind of things that he would do. What's your last one?
I've sort of forgot. I think the top three I've forgotten to do in any kind of order, but I also wrote down Dwarf Romantic. I think it looks cute. I've been following a guy on Twitter for ages who makes is it called Townscaper?
Yeah,
it's that one where it's like procedurally, it's kind of procedural the way you place
can,
down buildings and they sort of pop together and like generate like washing lines and fountains and things.
And there's like no gameplay. It's literally no like actual story. You just do what you want.
It's just like a zen kind of unwinding. It's like playing with Lego or something.
Oh, nice.
You know, that's what that looks like to me so far. It was just like twisting around different tiles and joining stuff together. So maybe there's a bit more to it than that. But to me, it seemed like one of those unwindy kind of just aesthetically pleasing games without probably too much direction. And seems nice.
The last one I wanted to mention, which will be Ben's number one, is New Tales from the Borderlands.
Absolutely.
I never played the first one. Well, I played half of the first one, and then we just never finished it because I'm not a big fan of like the Telltale kind of format. But I did like watching this story, like finding out what the story was of Tales from the Borderlands. So I'm intrigued by the new one. It's new characters that we've not seen before. T. Dior still there, being the bad guys by the looks of things. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with it.
Yes, I need to rewatch this trailer, to be honest, because I've as is the case with most of these showcases, we end up talking over a lot of it because otherwise we're just sat there in silence watching. From what I understand, they've brought the same writers back from the first one, which is what I was a little bit concerned about because I loved the original Tales from the Borderlands. I am a big fan of Telltale's format, so that is exciting. It looks like they will. It's a shame we're not following up on the story of the first one because those characters, some of them we've just not heard from again. A couple of them showed up in Borderlands 3, that being Reese and Vaughn.
Yeah.
But Reese was, for some reason, he was voiced by Troy Baker, who did do a great job. And then he just wasn't invited back for Borderlands 3. And we spoke about it on the podcast at the time. Randy Pitchford was asked, and because he's full of crap at all times on Twitter, and he said something like, "Oh, we just couldn't make it work, unfortunately." And then Troy Baker was like, "What do you mean? You literally never asked me.
You didn't even try.
You didn't even ask me to be in it." So they replaced his voice with someone else, which was really jarring for me in Borderlands 3. And that cast of characters in Tales from the Borderlands was very good, and their story was very good, and it almost ended on a kind of cliffhanger. So hopefully we see some of those guys again. I think I spotted Reese briefly in this trailer. Don't know if they'll get Troy back. Probably not. We'll see. But I'm excited for this one, and I hope they do the Life is Strange True Colors thing of just releasing all the episodes at once instead of peppering them out over a long period of time. But we will see.
We got
how it
Randy.
goes. Oh boy, did we!
Oh boy, did we! In the brightest trousers known to
We
man.
just
He
spoke
popped
over the
in.
top of him entirely. I don't remember a single word.
We just
he
said hypothetical things that he could be saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to see a card trick?
And they were like, well, if you listen to what Randy's saying, I was like, how are we supposed to be quiet when he's wearing that outfit?
He's
He's
being
inviting
so loud.
people. to
Yes,
talk
he's being
over him.
so loud. I left a USB stick full of porn at a medieval times. I'm Randy Pitchford. So yeah, he's something.
Yeah.
But I just wish he would let anyone of his phenomenally talented progressive group of developers speak for that company instead of loudmouth and trousers Randy Pitchford. But there we are. I think that's all of our personal highlights, but there were loads of games shown. Let us know what you think was the best game of Gamescom opening night live, or just in general of Gamescom. Full stop. This whole week it's been going. Let us know what you think of conferences and showcases. Are they declining in quality? Is there less out there that you're interested in? Is this symptomatic of a larger issue with the fact that the kind of games that we were enjoying maybe every 1 to 2 years in franchises in the 2010s now take 6 to 7 years to make because game development is so expensive, and so we have to fill it with smaller things that we aren't as interested in. Is that it?
Yes.
Could that? Yes,
Hey,
it is that.
maybe.
That's it.
Let us know in the comments and reach out to us around the internet where we are found. Peter's going to tell you some of those places right now.
YouTube.com and twitch.tv/Team TripleJump. It's where all of our videos and live streams go out. When we're streaming on both of those channels, we are looked after and modded by Lord Brotovich, Trowling Badger, and Mr. Black. So if Ashton tells you that if they tell you to do something, you better flip and do it. If you've got Amazon Prime, that has a Twitch sub as part of the whole bundle. It doesn't cost you anything extra. It's just in there. So you can spend that on us if you like. You get all the normal benefits, no extra cost. Twitter.com and Facebook.com/Team TripleJump for all of our social media presence. We've got video content on there, legacy video content, live stream announcements, and actual Facebook lives probably work again now. I don't know if we're in the sin bin, but Fraser looks after that, and then he says things about Hitler, and then he no longer.
Fraser didn't say
No,
anything
he
about
didn't say
Hitler.
anything
to be
about
clear.
Hitler.
Cultaholic did though.
Yeah, and
Buggers.
Fraser just by association ended up being in trouble. No, he's not in trouble. Don't know why I've really spun this whole narrative about Fraser being.
You should stop now, please. Just stop.
I'm going to carry on.
Get out the hole.
Fraser is no, it's not.
On holiday.
TikTok.com/@Team TripleJump. That's looked after by Fraser, and he does a very good job of it. We've also got a Patreon, which is patreon.com/Team TripleJump. There's lots of different tiers on there. And of course, you can go there if you want to ask questions on this podcast or be a weird news podcast producer. And there's lots of other things too. There's our other podcast, and there's loads. Go and have a look.
There is. We have a website. It's TripleJump. That's it. TripleJump. It spells jump. It's very clever. If you want to join our Discord, you can go to TripleJump.com/Discord. Chat with our wonderful community. On Discord, we're modded by Jack, Jode, Tori, and Hollow Eyes. And if they're told to do something, bloody well do it. If you want to listen to the podcast in its audio form, why not go to TripleJump.com/podcast? Maybe you're going on a train journey this weekend and you want us to hang out with you the entire 2.5 hours it takes to get to London from Newcastle. Maybe, if that's what you're doing.
Half of some of the time anyway.
Yeah. Maybe listen to this and then listen to like another one.
Yeah, really old one.
Yeah, go back to like number 1 or something.
Oh,
Before
don't do
Ashton.
that.
Before I got here for you.
BA.
Yeah. If you want to watch one of our many live streams that we do during the week, go to TripleJump.com/VODs. You can catch up on our reactions to opening night live on that channel. If you want to book a cameo from us, it's TripleJump.com/cameo. We're all on there. So's James Jenkins. And if you want to buy some sick and cool merch, like this jacket here,
Look at this.
look at it.
Yours won't do this. I've ripped a bit in my pocket. It's coming loose.
Oh no.
You can't
Nightmare.
really see that. It's all just dark on the screen. But,
Yeah. But we might have some new merch coming out soon, so make sure you follow @TripleJump Shop on Twitter as
There's
well.
a Pocket Pete.
No longer
The Pocket
available,
Pete.
I don't believe. I don't know.
No,
It might be.
I don't think
it
so.
is.
Tragic.
And that's all from me.
Thank you, Ashton. Why not follow Peter and Ashton on Twitter and Instagram @ThatPeterAustin and @ScrambledAshton, and myself just on Twitter @confused_dude. Maybe you want to see a couple of photos from our fun mini golf session. Did we post any publicly?
I put a video on my Instagram story, and then I posted a picture of me.
Okay, of course you did.
So
We do lists every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. streams every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday being the joint stream
Blaze it.
on
Blaze it.
YouTube, but not this week. And
Blaze it.
thank you. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday being solo streams
Blaze it.
They sometimes. maybe.
on Twitch. The Worst Games Ever is fortnightly, Friday for patrons of a certain tier, Sunday for everyone else. We do the podcast every Saturday and shows all the bloody time. Come check them out. Why not leave a 5-star review on your platform of choice? It helps something to do with Al Gore's rhythms. We'd really appreciate it. There's a fair bit out on the channel this week, isn't there, Peter Austin?
Yeah, there is. I'm just double checking that I got confirmation. Yes, I did.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And we've had a yes from the editor that it will be ready. Every GTA video game ranked from worst to best. It's very exciting.
A contentious one, bearing in mind that none of them are bad.
Yeah, but it does sort of say that in the a couple of them
People
are bad.
will ignore that.
But
I
yeah,
know
they
people.
will.
People will not listen to that.
They will.
What do you mean it's the worst GTA game? I mean,
Yeah.
it does say that in the title, to be fair, but
From
none of them are
worst to
bad.
best. Well,
Something's always got to be worse.
one of them is bad. At least one that I can think of.
Tune in and find out.
Is
Yeah.
the remake on it?
I assume so. It wasn't
Yes.
in my section.
Yes,
but
Oh,
yes,
it
it
is.
is. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
That's got to be pretty low, surely.
You have to find out.
So have a look at that. It's available on Sunday, I believe. So if you're listening nice and early to this podcast, it will be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if you've hung around a bit, it's probably already out by now.
Go check it out. It's one of many ranked scripts that we've still got from the phenomenally talented Philip Reed, who obviously passed away at the beginning of this month. So do come check it out. His work is amazing, and we will continue to put it out until we have exhausted it all. So come watch it.
Couple of quip scopes this week as well. Ben got a taste of Ben got a taste of Sensoro, which went out on Monday. You can check out some footage on the YouTube channel. Peter played some Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, which again you can check out the footage on the YouTube channel or listen on the podcast feed. And then hopefully, if nothing goes wrong immediately after this podcast, there will also be a
Pac-Man World
Repack. Quipscope as well, where you can check out some footage of that and listen to what Peter thought of it.
Yes, and you can also go watch the opening night live reactions on the VODs channel if you want to. For some reason, if you don't know what's happened at Gamescom opening live, maybe, and you want to find a stream of the actual show, and then you can sync it up, and then it's there. You can watch it if you want. Just enough time to talk about this week's sponsor once again, and that is, of course, Hideo Kojima's podcast featuring his best friend in the whole wide world from now until the end of time, Jeff Keighley, which will be launching very soon. That's all we got for you. Thank you so much for listening / watching, everybody. We will catch you next week. Look after yourselves. Goodbye.
Bye.